Tonight, members of a healthcare clinic say they have been deceived. 5 months ago, the owner of a family practice in Knoxville claimed his patients would continue to receive care even though the doors to his office closed. Well, tonight, 6 News investigator Don Dare has new information about Direct Care and its president.
Knoxville's Direct Care claimed in its brochure here it was the answer to the health care crisis, featuring no deductibles, no co-payments, that the office is open 6 days a week. All that sounded good to a lot of people when the clinic opened last winter.
That guy, Peter Pan, movie 5.
Earl and Angela Jones enjoy a board game with their 3 children and 2 of their friends. The couple is typical of many young working families. Skyrocketing insurance premiums and out-of-pocket expenses forced the Joneses to seek alternative health care. When they heard about Knoxville's Direct Care in February and discovered its affordable services, it fit their needs perfectly.
No copay, paying just once a month. And then just having to pay for prescriptions outside of if needed was good financially for us. It just made sense.
The couple became members and paid a monthly premium of $198. They visited the West Knoxville clinic once for blood work, but then things changed.
Seemed okay up until we saw the first segment you did.
How about a cookie?
In April, we reported how Ashley Martinez had doubts about Direct Care and its president, Dr. Brian Reichman. She said he couldn't treat her at the clinic and took her to a separate facility. Mrs. Martinez wondered why she had to visit another doctor's office. At Women's Expo last winter, we asked Brian Reichman about his clinic.
You don't actually see patients yourself?
Not as a medical doctor or anything medical, but I do for hypnotherapy.
Within months of opening, Reichman's business was in financial trouble. At General Sessions Court in Knoxville, we discovered Reichman was $10,000 behind in his rent. By late April, Direct Care's office was closed. Reichman's landlord told us they had kicked him out. But at the time, Earl and Angela Jones were told a different story by Reichman.
He just assured us that that location was closing down. It didn't fit their needs anymore. Like he said, they were moving to Fort Sanders.
They say the move to Fort Sanders Medical Facility never happened. The couple said Brian Reichman would meet them at Prodigal Primary Care, or one of its affiliates. But then Prodigal's agreement with Reichman ended.
They informed me that they weren't taking his patients without payment up front. That's when I called him and spoke with him about it. And he said, oh, I don't know what's going on. I'll get with them.
The owner of Prodigal Primary Care, David Brickhouse, says he cut off his relationship with Direct Care patients because Reichman had not paid Prodigal as he had agreed to do.
Unfortunately, never received money from him for any of the visits.
David Brickhouse says his clinic cared for about a dozen Direct Care patients every month for 3 months. He says each time Reichman would escort patients to Prodigal.
Disrupting my clinic with him, interrupting the manager, bringing in a patient without any notification. We had scheduled patients, and then on top of that, not paying any of the bills. It got to a point where we decided to say enough's enough.
In August, Reichman sent a letter to the Joneses, canceling their membership because they paid with cash instead of a credit card. The letter also showed a new address for Direct Care. We went looking for Dr. Reichman to ask questions. However, he had been kicked out. The building's owner told 6 News Reichman rented a tiny office with a desk and phone, but his check had bounced. We found Reichman checking the mail outside his home.
Dr. Reichman, we'd like to talk to you about David Brickhouse. Your patients aren't being taken care of. What are you going to do about that? Why haven't you paid David Brickhouse? Dr. Reichman?
He heard our questions, but never turned around.
Direct Care, as promised us, does not exist. And he's not fulfilled his side of the contract as far as providing services for the fee he said he would charge.
Presently, Direct Care members are not able to see a doctor in a timely manner. Can state investigators do something? Yes. Already, some Direct Care members have contacted the State Consumer Affairs Office. It has the authority to question Brian Reichman's business practices and hold him accountable. Don Dare, 6 News.
Well, tonight a story you may remember about businessman Brian Reichman of Direct Care. It's a former medical family practice that gave hope to people without insurance. 6 News investigator Don Dare has been reporting this story since April.
Dr. Reichman, your patients aren't being taken care of. What are you going to do about that?
The last time we saw Brian Reichman in late October, he was running into his house, avoiding our questions. He has now left this home in Farragut. His landlord telling 6 News the former business owner owed thousands of dollars in unpaid rent and moved out a few weeks ago. Last winter, Brian Reichman promoted his new direct care family practice directly to the people at the Women's Expo. He told us his primary care service removes the insurance company from the equation.
For $79 a month, you can see your doctor anytime you wish during the month. No copay, no deductible to meet because we're not insurance.
However, several weeks after Ashley Martinez signed on for direct care services last winter, she developed a sinus infection and says Dr. Reichman sent her to another doctor's office since he could not take care of her. Reichman told us he's a hypnotherapist with a PhD and not a medical doctor. By early May, Direct Care's office in West Knoxville had closed following a series of developments. Reichman had not paid rent in the building. We discovered his landlord was suing him. Reichman had not paid a clinic that performed blood tests for direct care patients. He didn't even pay his only office worker. Despite the setback, Brian Reichman assured us in a phone conversation he'll continue to help his patients seek medical care.
Seemed okay up until we saw the first segment you did.
Direct Care members Angela and Earl Jones said during May, June, and July, when needed, Reichman would accompany them to this primary care clinic in West Knoxville. But the owner of that medical facility, David Brickhouse, said Reichman had not paid him after treating Direct Care's patients.
Unfortunately, never received money from him for any of the visits.
David Brickhouse agreed to continue seeing patients like the Jones family, but they would have to pay out of their own pocket. Direct Care services would no longer be available to them.
I did want to believe, and I wanted to be part of it because it was a good idea on paper. It was very affordable.
Now Brian Reichman is gone, and the affordable dream that really never existed is gone with him. His forwarding address, we're told, is the Charlotte area of North Carolina. Gone too are the upfront fees, $300 that each Direct Care member paid when they signed up for the service. The money has not been refunded. We understand some former members have contacted the State Consumer Affairs Office in an attempt to seek action against Reichman. We tried to reach him, but no messages were being accepted. Don Dare, 6 News.